There is an ancient power so magnetic that people are pulled to it without knowing why. A presence so magical that others naturally seek its validation, its attention, its approval. Two men, separated by 1,500 years, found the same secret from opposite sides. One was a Stoic slave, Epictetus, who became the most important thinker in Rome. The other was a diplomat, Machiavelli, who figured out the hidden rules of power itself. Epictetus understood freedom, Machiavelli understood influence. Together, their knowledge shows something most people never understand in their whole lives. The moment you stop needing approval is the moment everyone begins seeking yours. We are going to understanding a basic law of human psychology that has worked the same since ancient times. A law that modern self-help culture has completely turned upside down. You have been taught to seek validation, to prove your worth, to win others over. But every time you chase approval, you send a signal that pushes away the very thing you want. Every time you try to convince someone of your value, you make it smaller. The ancient masters knew something different, something that sounds impossible until you see it work. The less you need from others, the more they want to give you. But today, you will learn the complete system, not theory, but the exact ideas that changed a slave into a thinker whose words guided emperors, and a diplomat into the man who showed how power really moves through human relationships. Before we begin, subscribe if you want ancient wisdom that questions everything modern culture teaches about influence and respect. And comment, do you know someone who never chases respect and attention, but always gets it? The slave who needed nothing. Rome, 60 AD. The house of Epaphroditus, one of Emperor Nero's most powerful secretaries. Among the slaves, there is one who stands out, not because he seeks attention, but because he requires none. His name is Epictetus. His leg is broken, permanently damaged. Some say by his master in a moment of anger, others say by accident. It does not matter. What matters is what people see about him. While other slaves compete for favor, fight for recognition, live in constant fear of disapproval, Epictetus moves through the house as if he is answerable to no one. Not rebellious, not defiant, simply complete. When praised, his expression does not change. When criticized, his posture remains the same. When threatened, he shows neither fear nor false courage. It unsettles people. A slave should be anxious, eager to please, desperate for any small piece of approval. But Epictetus is none of these things. One day, a visiting senator watches him work and asks Epaphroditus, "That slave, why does he not react like the others?" Epaphroditus responds, "I do not know. It is as if he lives in a different world than the rest of us. He seems to need nothing from anyone." This is the contradiction the senator sees. The slave with no power has more presence than most free men. The man with nothing commands more respect than those with everything. Why? Because Epictetus had discovered the first principle. Your need for approval is the source of all your powerlessness. Think about your own life. When do you feel most anxious, most uncomfortable, most unlike yourself? It is always when you are trying to gain someone's approval. A job interview, a first date, meeting someone you admire, presenting to important people. Your hands sweat, your voice tightens. You overthink every word. You watch yourself constantly. Am I coming across well? Do they like me? Am I saying the right things? This internal watching uses huge mental resources. You are not present. You are not real. You are performing, and everyone can sense it, even if they cannot say why. Now remember a moment when you really did not care what someone thought of you. Perhaps talking to a child or a stranger you will never see again, or a close friend where all performance is gone. You are relaxed, funny, able to express clearly, fully yourself. The difference is not your actual skill. The difference is the absence of need. This is what Epictetus lived as a slave. complete internal freedom from external validation. And strangely, this freedom created an attractive quality that drew people toward him. The Stoic principle. Epictetus was eventually freed, not because he sought freedom, but because his master saw something special in him. He became a thinker, and students traveled across the empire to learn from him. His core teaching was simple but deep. Tell the difference between what is within your control and what is not. Put your energy only into the former. People's opinions of you, not in your control. Whether they approve, respect, or admire you, not in your control. Your own character, your own choices, your own responses, completely in your control. When students would worry about their reputations, about what others said about them, Epictetus would ask, "Can you control their thoughts?" "No, master." "Then why do you waste energy on something you cannot control? It is like trying to stop rain by being worried about it." This sounds simple, but watch how people actually live. They direct their whole lives around things outside their control, other people's judgments, reactions, approval. A Stanford University study in 2019 looked at what researchers called external locus of evaluation, the degree to which people's self-worth depends on external validation. Dr. Jamil Zaki's research team followed 847 people across 3 years, measuring both their approval-seeking actions and their social influence. The results were clear. People with high external locus of evaluation, those most dependent on others' approval, were always seen as less influential by their peers. They were viewed as less confident, less trustworthy, less fit for leadership. But here is what is interesting. These same people often had great achievements, strong skills, real value to offer. Their need for validation was not because they lacked worth. They had it, but the need itself weakened their ability to show it. Dr. Zaki concluded, social influence works on a contradiction. The more you need others to validate you, the less likely they are to do so. On the other hand, those who show self-sufficiency become magnets for validation they do not seek. Epictetus knew this 2,000 years earlier. He taught, if you seek approval, you will always be the slave of the one whose approval you seek. True freedom is wanting nothing from anyone. Florence, 1513. Niccolò Machiavelli sits in exile, his political career ruined. Once a powerful diplomat and military planner, he is now banned from the city he served for decades. Most men in his position would have spent their exile angry, seeking to restore their reputation, desperate to get back the approval of those who sent them away. Machiavelli does the opposite, he writes. Night after night, he writes down what he saw during 15 years in the inner circles of power. Not the official stories, not the public tales, but the real ways influence moves between human beings. What comes out is The Prince, the most debated analysis of power ever written, exactly because it describes how power really works, rather than how people pretend it works. And at its heart is a principle that perfectly matches Epictetus's teaching. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Not because fear is good, but because love that depends on others' changing feelings is not power at all. Modern readers get Machiavelli wrong. They think he is supporting cruelty. He is not. He is seeing something brutally true. When you need people to love you, to approve of you, to validate you, you give them power over you. Machiavelli watched leaders who desperately wanted to be loved. They made choices based on popularity. They avoided needed actions because they feared disapproval. They bent to please others. And in the end, they were controlled, removed from power, or destroyed by those whose approval they sought. But leaders who made choices based on principle, on strategy, on clear-eyed view of reality, who did not need to be loved, these men shaped history. This is not about being cold or uncaring. This is about the source of your decisions. Do your choices come from your own judgment or from your need for others' approval? Machiavelli saw a pattern. Leaders who worked from internal certainty attracted loyalty without seeking it. Leaders who chased approval got neither approval nor loyalty. He wrote, "Men are won over more by the force of your character than by the force of your arguments." And character is shown not in what you say, but in what you are willing to do without needing permission or praise. Here is the uncomfortable truth both Epictetus and Machiavelli understood. Human beings are made to pursue what moves away from them, and to value less what pursues them. This is not conscious. This is not on purpose. This is evolutionary psychology working below awareness. When you seek someone's approval, through your words, your behavior, your energy, you set off an old circuit in their brain that labels you as lower status. Not because you are lower status, but because pursuit itself signals lower status in animal groups. The one who seeks is seen as needing something they lack. The one who is sought is seen as having something valuable. This works in every area: dating, business, friendships, professional relationships. The pattern is always the same. The one who needs less has more influence. Watch how this happens in a typical job interview. The candidate who desperately needs the job, who is overly eager, who tries too hard to impress, the interviewer naturally values them less. They are too hungry, too desperate. Something must be wrong. But the candidate who is genuinely indifferent to the outcome, not pretending indifference, but actually having other choices and not needing this particular chance, the interviewer leans in. We need to get this person. They might go somewhere else. Same skills, different energy, completely different result. A University of Toronto study in 2020 looked at what researchers called reverse attraction dynamics. Dr. Emily Impet's team studied 1-200 social interactions across different situations: professional, romantic, friendly. They measured two things. One, how much each person seemed to need approval from the other, and two, how much influence each person actually had in the relationship. The connection was almost perfect and opposite. The more someone needed approval, the less influence they had. The less someone needed approval, the more others sought their validation. Dr. Impet noted, "We found this pattern in every type of relationship we studied. It seems to be a basic feature of human social behavior, working largely below conscious awareness. But here is the key insight. This is not about faking indifference. People are very good at detecting performance. If you are secretly desperate for approval while pretending not to care, others sense the fakeness immediately. The power comes from real internal independence, actually not needing the approval, not just acting as if you do not need it. This is what Epictetus trained his students to build. This is what Machiavelli saw in the leaders who kept power. Epictetus and Machiavelli, coming from different directions, arrived at the same system: 3 basic practices that change you from approval seeker to approval creator. First pillar, split of control. Epictetus taught this constantly. Every moment, every situation, every interaction, identify what is in your control and what is not. Put yourself only into the former. Someone insults you. You cannot control their words. You can control your response. Someone rejects you. You cannot control their decision. You can control how you understand it and what you do next. Someone disapproves of your work. You cannot control their opinion. You can control whether you let their opinion change your own judgment of your work. This practice seems thoughtful, but it is very practical. Every time you catch yourself worried about others' reactions, pause and ask, is this in my control? If not, consciously turn your attention to what is in your control, your own choices, your own character, your own standards. The first week of this practice is uncomfortable. Your mind will fight it. It is used to watching others' approval all the time, but slowly, something changes. The worry decreases. Your presence gets stronger. others notice, even if they cannot say what changed. Harvard Business School did research in 2018 looking at what they called locus of control orientation in leadership success. They followed 200 managers across 18 months, measuring both their control beliefs and their actual influence within organizations. Managers who consistently focused on controllable factors, their own decisions, actions, and responses, were rated by their workers as 3.2 times more effective than managers who focused on uncontrollable factors like others' opinions and reactions. The researchers noted, leaders with internal locus of control created what we called psychological gravity, a quality that pulled others toward them without clear effort. Second pillar, outcome independence. Machiavelli saw this in effective leaders. They acted based on principle and strategy, no matter others' reactions. They were genuinely indifferent to whether any particular person approved. This is not lack of feeling, this is freedom. When you need a specific outcome, this person must like me, this chance must work out, this interaction must go well, you work from scarcity. Scarcity creates desperation. Desperation pushes away. But when you are genuinely outcome independent, you act with excellence no matter the results. You value your own judgment over others' reactions. You have plenty of options. You work from enough. Enough creates attraction. Attraction pulls. This requires building real options in your life, not as a trick, but as reality. You cannot fake outcome independence if you have no other chances. The person with one job offer cannot be genuinely indifferent to it, but the person with 3 offers can. This is why Machiavelli stressed building power before it is needed. When you have resources, relationships, skills that give you options, you stop needing any particular approval, and that is exactly when approval starts flowing toward you. A University of Michigan study in 2021 looked at negotiation results in business situations. They found that negotiators who had real alternatives, other offers, other options, got results 41% better than negotiators without alternatives, even when the negotiators without alternatives were clearly told to act as if they had options. You cannot fake enough. The body language, small expressions, and voice tone show internal scarcity. But when enough is real, it shines without effort. Third pillar, self-sufficiency of esteem. This is the deepest practice, the one that makes the other 2 possible, getting your sense of worth from internal standards rather than external validation. Epictetus taught his students to create what he called an inner stronghold, an unbreakable core of self-judgment that external opinions could not enter. How? By setting clear, personal standards for your own character and behavior, then judging yourself only against those standards. Did you act with honesty today? By your own meaning of honesty, not someone else's. Did you give your best effort to work that matters to you? By your own judgment, not others' praise. Did you treat people with the respect you believe they deserve? According to your own principles, not their reactions. When your self-evaluation is truly internal, others' opinions lose their power, not because you do not hear them, you do, but they do not decide your sense of worth. This creates an unshakable quality. People sense that you are not performing for their approval, not changing yourself to their hopes. You are working from your own center, and strangely, this is what makes you most attractive. Machiavelli saw this in the leaders who held power across decades. They had internal certainty about their own judgment. They listened to advice, but they decided based on their own view. They did not need advisors to validate their worth. They needed advisors to give information. This difference is everything. Using others for information versus using others for validation. When you stop needing validation, you suddenly become much better at getting information. You are not defensive. You are not seeking confirmation. You are genuinely curious about reality, because reality cannot threaten a self-worth that is made inside. Yale University's research in 2019 on evaluative independence found that people who scored high on internal self-evaluation showed much better decision-making under social pressure. They were 67% more likely to keep their judgment when group opinion was different, but also 43% more likely to change their mind when shown real new information. In other words, internal self-sufficiency makes you both more confident and more flexible, because neither confidence nor flexibility depends on others' approval. Understanding these ideas in your mind is not the same as living them. Epictetus required years of daily practice. Machiavelli spent 15 years watching before he could explain the patterns. But the change follows a predictable order. Phase 1. Awareness, weeks 1-4. You start noticing how much of your behavior is approval-seeking, not judging it, just watching. How often you change your words to please, how frequently you watch others' reactions, how much mental energy you spend on others' opinions. This awareness itself begins to create space. You catch yourself mid-performance. I am trying to impress this person. Why? Do I actually need their approval, or is this just habit? Phase 2. Selective letting go, months 2-3. You start choosing moments to not seek approval, low-risk situations at first. You express an opinion without softening it to be liked. You let a silence hang without rushing to fill it. You accept a criticism without defending yourself. These feel uncomfortable. Your nervous system is used to approval-seeking, but with each time you prove to yourself, I can live without this person's validation. Nothing bad happens when I do not perform for their approval. Phase 3. Internal reset, months 4-6. Your starting point starts changing. You notice that situations that once made you anxious no longer cause the same response. Not because you are hiding anxiety, but because the need that created the anxiety is getting smaller. You start experiencing what Epictetus called proper indifference. You care about excellence, about character, about meaningful work, but you are more and more indifferent to whether others see it. This is when others begin noticing the change. They cannot explain it, but something is different about you. You seem more grounded, more present, more complete. Phase 4. Magnetic flip, months 7-12. This is when the contradiction fully shows. You are not seeking anyone's approval, and suddenly people are more interested in yours. Invitations increase. Chances appear. People seek your opinion, your time, your validation. You have not changed your skills or abilities. You have changed your energy. And energy is what people really respond to, below all the surface-level interactions. A long-term study from Princeton University in 2017 followed 340 professionals across 5 years, measuring both their approval orientation, how much they sought external validation, and their social capital, invitations, chances, influence. At year 1, there was no connection, but by year 5, the connection was strong. Those whose approval orientation decreased showed 2.8 times greater increase in social capital compared to those whose approval orientation stayed the same or increased. The researchers concluded, social influence seems to work on delayed returns. The investment in internal independence takes months to years to show, but once it does, the returns grow quickly. Both Epictetus and Machiavelli understood something important. This power can spoil. When you learn that not needing approval creates approval, the temptation is to use this as a trick, to control others by acting out indifference you do not really feel. This is the path of the person who manipulates. And it finally fails because, as we have talked about, people detect fakeness. Acted indifference has a different quality than real internal independence. More importantly, using these principles in a controlling way spoils your own character. You become calculating, fake, empty. You gain social influence but lose your soul. Epictetus warned his students, "The goal is not to control others, the goal is to free yourself. If you use your freedom to manipulate, you have simply traded one form of slavery for another." Machiavelli, despite his reputation, agreed. His later work, Discourses on Livy, stresses that lasting power requires virtue, not in the sense of goodness, but in the sense of strength of character, consistency of principle, real ability. Cheap manipulation works briefly, character works across decades. The healthy use of these principles is not to gain power over others. It is to free yourself from the tiring need for constant validation so you can direct your energy toward what really matters: excellent work, meaningful relationships, real contribution. When you stop performing for approval, you become free to be authentic. And authentic presence is what creates real, lasting influence. How do you actually practice this in daily life? Start with what Epictetus called morning thought. Before your day begins, remind yourself, "Today, I will meet people's opinions about me. These are not in my control. What is in my control is my own character, how I respond, the standards I keep, the person I choose to be." This sets your internal guide. You are deciding ahead that others' approval will not decide your choices. Then practice small moments of outcome independence through the day. Someone texts you. Your impulse is to respond right away, to show you are attentive and valuable. Instead, pause. Respond when you actually have time to respond thoughtfully, not when your approval-seeking impulse demands. Someone offers an opinion on your work. Your impulse is to defend or explain. Instead, simply listen. Think about it later, in private, against your own standards. Do not let their reaction decide your self-assessment in the moment. Someone invites you to something you do not want to attend. Your impulse is to create complicated excuses or to accept out of duty. Instead, practice Machiavelli's principle. A clear no commands more respect than a reluctant yes. Say, "I appreciate the invitation, but I will not be able to make it," without giving too many reasons. These seem small, but each time is an exercise in the gym of internal independence. You are training your nervous system. I do not need to perform for approval. I can work from my own judgment. The University of Pennsylvania's research in 2020 on small assertion training found that people who practiced small acts of independence, expressing real preferences, saying no without over-explaining, allowing silence without filling it, showed measurable increases in both self-reported confidence and peer-rated leadership presence within 8 weeks. Dr. Angela Duckworth, who supervised the research, observed, "Character is built in small moments. Each time you resist approval-seeking impulses in low-risk situations, you strengthen the brain pathways that enable independence in high-risk situations." The full use of these principles shows up in how you handle criticism and rejection. The approval-dependent person experiences criticism as a threat to their identity. Their self-worth is invested in others' validation, so negative feedback feels like proof they are worthless. They become defensive, desperate to get back the person's good opinion. The internally independent person experiences criticism as information. This person sees a flaw in my work. Is their view correct? Let me look at it against my own standards. No defensiveness because their worth is not being decided by the critic's opinion. Similarly with rejection. The approval-dependent person experiences rejection as proof of unworthiness. They think about it constantly, replay it, let it spoil their self-view. The internally independent person experiences rejection as a poor match. This person or chance was not right for what I offer. That is fine. My value exists on its own, without their recognition. This is not self-deception or pride. This is clear-eyed self-assessment based on your own standards rather than others' reactions. Epictetus's final teaching. If you wish to be free, you must own nothing that can be taken from you, and the opinions of others can always be taken. But your own character, your own judgment, your own response, these can never be taken unless you give them up. Machiavelli's matching wisdom. The leader who depends on others' favor will fall when favor changes. The leader who depends on their own virtue remains standing regardless of others' opinions. After decades of teaching, Epictetus became the most wanted thinker in Rome. Emperors asked his advice. Senators traveled to hear him. His wisdom was repeated across the empire. Yet he lived simply, owned almost nothing, and kept the same calm he had as a slave. The approval came, but it changed nothing about him, because he had never needed it. Students would ask, "Master, how does it feel to be so respected and admired?" He would respond, "The same as it felt when I was unknown. My worth does not come from your opinions. It comes from how I live by my own principles." Machiavelli, in exile, wrote his great work, which was at first rejected, banned, spoken against. He died without seeing its effect. Yet 500 years later, every serious student of power and influence studies his observations. Both men showed the same truth. When you really do not need approval, you become the source of something far more valuable: real presence, steady character, true wisdom. And these qualities create influence that lasts longer than any temporary validation. The goal is not to become cold or uncaring. The goal is to become free. Free to care deeply about your work without needing others to validate it. Free to love fully without needing to be loved back to feel whole. Free to express yourself truly without changing for others' comfort. This freedom is attractive, not because you are trying to attract, but because freedom itself is rare and therefore valuable. When you stop chasing approval, you stop sending need. When you stop sending need, you start sending enough. And enough is what everyone is seeking, but few have. The final teaching. The complete system comes down to a single change in focus. Stop asking, "How do I get them to approve of me?" Start asking, "Do they meet my standards? Is this relationship, chance, or interaction right for who I am and what I value?" This flip changes everything. You move from reactive to thoughtful, from beggar to chooser, from performing to presenting. And strangely, this is when others start performing for your approval, not because you demand it, but because you clearly do not need it, which makes it valuable. But remember, this only works if it is real. You cannot fake internal independence. The body shows pretending. Only actual enough creates actual attraction. So the work is not learning tricks to appear indifferent. The work is building real internal standards, real options, real self-sufficiency. Then the look takes care of itself. Epictetus spent his life teaching one core lesson. Freedom is the only thing worth going after, and freedom begins the moment you stop needing anything from anyone that they have the power to give or take away. Machiavelli spent his life watching one core pattern. Power flows toward those who do not need it and away from those who do. Two men, two views, one truth. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment everyone begins seeking yours. Not because you manipulate, but because you are free. And freedom is the rarest, most attractive quality any human being can have. If this makes sense, subscribe for more ancient wisdom that questions modern ideas about influence and power. Comment below, what is one approval you are ready to stop seeking? Remember, the respect you chase will always escape you. The respect you live will find you without effort. Thank you for your attention. The only approval that finally matters is your own.